Hey guys, Chris here from Peterborough Pro Tackle. We've got something special lined up for you here today. We're on the water here on Rice Lake in the Kawarthas region of Ontario, fishing for finicky smallmouth with some really cool finesse baits from Great Lakes Finesse on the water with local hammer Dan Miguel, also owner and founder of Great Lakes Finesse, a brand that we've just picked up in the store. We're very excited about it. Let's show you what they can do.
Don't stop, get it, deep high captains in it, steady, watch me navigate. Don't stop, get it, deep high captains in it, steady, watch me navigate.
Basically, Chris has a small little like 2-inch tube on the Great Lakes Finesse Mini Pro tube head. We designed it specifically for this application. Dirtier water, has a thicker gauge hook. He's got a good one on. We wanted something that you could really crack on these fish. Most of the small jig heads for these small tubes just don't have the hook for it. It's also got a 60-degree eye, so you can pull it through stuff pretty good. It stays up, doesn't get snagged. Anyway, it's killer. And this one's already jumped a few times, so nice. Yeah, it's a beauty. Oh yeah, good stuff, man.
That's what we needed, man.
Good stuff. Yeah, you can see the tube head right there.
Just lodged, double pin.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Those are the ones we come here for. So all this stuff was designed for these fish. Good stuff. Nice.
You know what I was doing? Well, I was scooting it, because that's
Yeah.
what we decided. I was dragging earlier, and then I just started scooting it. And then
You smoked it?
in the box.
Nice. That's what we come here for. It's kind of later in the afternoon, about 2 o'clock. We just got a good one, just lost another, fish over 4 pounds. We're just out here drop shotting the drop worm, drop minnow. Both of them have caught fish today. And so we actually started the day in this spot, and conditions weren't exactly ideal. It was super sunny, glass calm. What we're set up on here, it's early season. The fish are on a post-spawn deal right now. They were shallow, they were spawning, now they're feeding up, and there's a bunch of life shallow. So we're just in about 6.5 feet of water, 7 feet of water. This time of the year, we're just trying to relate to some weed lines. So find some rock, find some weed. And so we're here this morning, we got a few fish. They weren't the caliber that, you'd hope for, 2-pounders. Yeah, so anyway, checked a few other spots and the conditions changed. We got a bit of wind. That's usually a good thing out here. You don't want too much wind, but a decent wind where it's breaking up the surface. And we thought initially when we started the day that we were gonna have to go super slow. And about an hour and a half ago, I clued in. I was reeling in and a fish just came in and chased my bait so fast. And I was like, man, I bet these fish want it a little faster. So next cast, actually had a pike chase it right to the boat. And then we caught a couple more fish right after that, just kind of going a little faster, making that bait move. So dragging the drop shot faster, popping it more, just a lot more action. And we were actually using the drop minnow at one point on just a ball head, and just dragging it along the bottom, popping it through the rocks. And that's got us a number of fish today. Chris decided to throw on a small tube, which is always a good choice out here, green pumpkin. And the Mini Pro tube head that is made by Great Lakes Finesse. One of the challenges is the entire team never really could find, we're all tournament like addicts, and we never really found a good tube head for those mini tubes, and so we designed our own. We found the perfect hook for it. It's a 1/0 hook and super sharp. It's thicker gauge, so you can really crack them. You'll probably see in that shot with Chris, he gave that fish a good hook set, and that thing wasn't coming off. So so one on the tube. So yeah, it's been a day where we've switched it up, drop shot, dragon baits. You know, we're gonna keep at it here. But yeah, rockweed, early season, you know, think shallower, and then as the summer progresses, they tend to kind of go out deeper into the lake. Cool. So yeah, we had a really good day today. Man, I think we caught, you know, 30 fish at least today. It's pretty awesome. So I got some fish on some baits that I was throwing, and Chris got a few on the baits that he was throwing. But my biggest fish today came on the drop worm. It's 4 inches. This bait was designed to sit perfectly horizontal in the water column. The biggest thing about this, I mean, there's a lot of worms on the market, but what's unique to this bait is the true neutral buoyancy. You don't need to move this bait to make it sit perfectly horizontal. So out here on Rice Lake, for example, we're hitting these really specific targets, and it's easy to get off those targets quickly if you're constantly moving your bait and hopping it. So this allows you to really stick in one spot, and if you know there's fish there, especially with some of the technology we have now, we can see the fish, you can just dead stick the bait and wait them out, and you know, if you're patient enough, these fish will bite. So it's got a matte finish to it, so there's no glare. We used to rub these baits on the carpet and stuff before to get the glare off. Right out of the package, you don't need to do that. It's also got these little ribs into it, and the design, the reason for that is if you've, you know, fished for a while, you start to notice that a lot of your baits get better when they get chewed up. So those are built in. So really, right out of the package, you're getting, you know, some of the top tournament secrets with these baits. So that color was good for me here. This is always a productive color here, this green pumpkin, purple with a little bit of gold flake in it. The other bait that has just been doing extremely well all over is the drop minnow, and this one's a smaller profile. So we were really using this bait today because the conditions were tough. Fish weren't exactly on today. So by downsizing to a smaller profile bait, this mimics a minnow, a leech, you know, a whole bunch of different things. And again, it's got the true neutral buoyancy. It's got ribs for scent. Scent can be a big thing here. So, you know, it just gives you some grooves for your scent. And black was a good one for me today. I caught a bunch of fish on it. You know, it's probably my best one today. I know Chris was using crushed shad, which he'll show you here in a second. And then the other thing that I started doing a little bit later, and this is something that, you know, I've caught a lot of fish doing, is we've got these stealth ball heads. They're built on a Gamakatsu 604, and I took the drop minnow and just dragged this on the bottom. What we found today was scooting it along really fast really made a big difference. We started the day trying to fish these baits really slow, but you know, we had a couple fish follow us when we were reeling in, and so just dragging this through the rocks, pounding the bottom. What's nice about these stealth ball heads is they're all powder coated and baked, and they don't chip. So this one's been used all day and there's not a chip in it. So you can just pound bottom with this thing. And we also take good care to keep paint off the eye. So if you're using light fluorocarbon, you know, that knot is going to be as strong as it can be. And of course, Gamakatsu 604, you can't really beat it. So those were the baits that, you know, I was using today. Obviously the drop worm is a bait that I really like out here, just because I've done very well in a couple tournaments with it, and you know, it just gets bit everywhere we go.
For sure, definitely one of those days where we had to figure them out. Definitely wasn't easy. We're in a bit of a transition phase right now, late in the spring. Fish are kind of scattered. So we weren't really catching them in the traditional ways that we thought we would right off the bat. Took a little bit of finagling, but like Dan said, swimming the baits and moving them a little bit faster than we thought we would have to was what generated the bites. For me today, I spent most of the day drop shotting this little guy right here, and I hate to give it up, but this bait in this color, crushed shad, is just lights out. I don't know how many fish I caught today, but there were quite a few. Same idea though. I typically fish this nose hooked, and I'll almost drag shot it. I kind of refer to it as where I'm dragging it, slow dragging it like I would a tube. But today they wanted it scooted, so we were kind of just imparting like a little in place twitch, slowly moving the bait still, but imparting a lot more action than I typically would to generate those bites. Lots of fish on that today. Big fish of the day did come on 2.5-inch tube, but with one of the Great Lakes Finesse heads. Dan's got one out of the package here to give you kind of an idea of what it looks like. Super unique design, flat bottom here, and it's just perfect for dragging. I don't know exactly why it works the way it does. I mean, maybe Dan can delve into that a little bit more, but it just doesn't get hung up and it doesn't get scummed up, more importantly. It seems to, keep free of the debris. A little heavier gauge hook here really gets them pinned. That bigger one that I caught today was actually double pinned through and then back again. Just a great head, great design. Fits these little tubes just perfectly, as you can see. Catch a lot of fish with it, and you will too.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about the head design and why it's so effective. So this product launched about 2 months ago, and it's quickly become probably our most popular product. The repeat orders on these is insane. But the reason why this is so good is the short shank and the heavy gauge wire. So what you'll typically find when you're fishing smaller tubes with a longer hook is that there's just more room for fish to thrash that hook. So if you get a big smallmouth, typically out here, these fish, especially midsummer, they just go ballistic. It's not uncommon for them to jump 5-6 times before you get them to the boat. And having that short shank and heavy gauge wire, they're just not going to bend it out. And the other thing that's important, there's a lot of if you're on the good stuff here, you're generally in sticky bottom, meaning rock, sand, stuff, zebra shell beds. And so what you don't want is typically most tube heads want to roll over on their side when you're dragging them. So what we did with this design was we made it flat on the bottom and wide at the top of the head for 2 reasons. One is we wanted the head to always sit up, and 2, we wanted to give it a bit of a goby profile. If you've been fishing this lake for a long time, you'll know that gobies weren't really around 10-15 years ago, and now they're very prevalent here on this lake, and having that goby profile in your mini tube will make a big difference. So good head for your mini tubes. Again, this product was built out of necessity because our team loves fishing small tubes like 2.5, 2.75s, and we just couldn't find a good hook. Most of the hooks that were made for small tubes were constantly getting snagged, or they had a really thin gauge wire. Even some of the top brands, just the gauge of the hook would bend out. And when we're fishing out here, it's typical that we're using anywhere from 8 to 12 pound test fluorocarbon, and we're reefing on these fish, so we didn't want a hook that would bend out. But that's a tube hook that you should definitely try if you like fishing mini tubes.